Hello, my bookish friends. Welcome or welcome back. I am Elizabeth. This is Reading Riley, and today I'm starting a vlog. We are going to be furthering my exploration to find the perfect evil child book. I've done this vlog before, I'll link it up here, where I read based on Goodreads suggestions. I was just curious. I was like, well, why don't I look up a few of my favorite books that I read in 2021 and see what Goodreads suggests based on that. And so I looked up Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. Scroll down and it shows me The Bad Seed by William March. How have I not read this book? How have I not read this book? This is a modern classic. It was, I think, originally written in 1954. I was like, I have to read this. And then I was like, well, why don't I just make this a thing where I read a few evil child books and see if I can finally find that book that I'm looking for. So far, I've read The Push. I've read Baby Teeth. I've read, I swear there's another one. Can't think of any more at this moment. That may be it. But I've yet to find the one that I like, that is going to satiate that need. That sounds creepy. Anyway, I've mentioned this before, but movies like The Good Son.
What if there was this boy, and he did these terrible things because he liked doing them? Such a sweet little thing. It'd be too bad if something were to happen to her. Would you say he was evil?
I don't believe in evil.
If you've ever seen that with Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood, that's what I'm looking for, that vibe. Absolutely terrorizing, creepy. I'm looking for psychological, disturbing, dark, creepy child. Something about creepy children, evil children just freaks me the fuck out. And I don't know why I want to scratch that itch, but it's just something that I want. Why am I weird? I don't know. So this is what I'm going to read. I'm going to start with The Bad Seed. So we're following... Denver, you want to be in a movie? Come here. Oh, I don't know about this, Mom. I don't know. All right, sorry. He's just going to be loud because that's what he is. So we're following Christine. Her husband is away on business for the entire summer, and she has this 8-year-old precocious daughter named Rhoda. One of the boys in Rhoda's class at school dies. And then Christine starts to have suspicions about Rhoda. She starts to wonder if maybe she doesn't feel much of anything, if maybe she doesn't have a conscience. And then, this is the part that really gets me, Christine starts to research the history of serial killers, and especially female serial killers. And then she starts to unravel a link in her own family tree. And she starts to wonder, is evil hereditary? Like, how interesting is that? Apparently all the killers that she researches in the book are also like real serial killers too. So this should be really interesting. Because it's written in 1954, I doubt I've heard of any of them. So I'm sure I'm going to be doing some research along the way. The next book I want to read is a more modern book. Another creepy child book that I've been wanting to read and just haven't gotten around to yet. And that's The Perfect Child by Lucinda. I think this was her debut. I could be wrong about that. For some reason in all of these books, or most of them I think, it seems like the mother is always the one who sees something wrong in the child and the father is left unaware. That's an interesting dynamic off the bat. So in this one, we're following Christopher and Hannah. They are like this picturesque family. They're a doctor and a nurse. They have the perfect lives. The only thing that's missing is a child, and they can't conceive for one reason or another. Then this little girl shows up, Jamie. Yeah, she just turns up at the hospital, and Christopher has this instant connection with her, and he tries to convince Hannah, let's take her in. This is our chance to be whole, to be a whole family. So they take her in to raise her as their own. And then apparently Jamie, she's fiercely devoted to Christopher, but she starts acting out against Hannah in these more and more disturbing ways, and she threatens to tear this couple apart. And so the plot, again, sounds a lot like Baby Teeth. I'm hoping it's done in a way that is more enjoyable. And I'm hoping I like the writing. I've not read a Lucinda Berry, so we'll see. The next book I want to read, I've heard of it before, but I never really knew what it was about other than it involves a school shooting. And that is We Need to Talk About Kevin by Lionel Shriver. I think it's written in an epistolary form, so it's written in like letters. We are following Ava, who is Kevin's mother. Kevin, apparently at the very beginning of the story, he shoots up some kids at a school, so huge trigger warning there. Kills a bunch of people. And then we're following Ava's letters in present day. I don't know if it shows his like court case or process, but it shows him in jail and his like current day, what's happening. And then it shows the past and Ava's kind of reluctance to have a child, but also the reasons she gave in. And she's writing these letters to her ex-husband. And from what I understand, it leaves you with space to, in your own mind, decide for yourself. Is Kevin evil, or is he simply the product of a mother who never wanted a child? This one is probably the one that I'm most concerned about not liking, because I've heard that it's kind of a slog to get through, that it's a longer book. The prose is quite intricate, so we'll see. I don't know. I've never read this author, so I don't know if I connect with the writing or not. We'll see when we get there. And so there's the main 3 that I want to read. Now, if I have time, I'm considering another one. I'm considering We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson, which I believe is a novella. Let me just read you what this says, because the synopsis is really short. It says, my name is Mary Catherine Blackwood. I'm 18 years old. I live with my sister Constance. I have often thought that with any luck at all, I could have been born a werewolf, because the 2 middle fingers on both my hands are the same length. But I've had to be content with what I had. I dislike washing myself and dogs and noise and my sister Constance and Richard Plantagenet, don't know, and Amanita Phalloids. What the fuck? Everyone else in my family is dead. Apparently there was this poisoning in her family, and she thinks that she's a witch, and she comes from this long line of witches, and you don't know if she's magical or if she's just evil. And I didn't have much luck with The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, so I'm hoping this is going to turn it around for me with my opinion of her work. I don't know if I'll get to that. We'll see. There was another one that I found too called Elizabeth, which, hello, it's called Elizabeth. So I was like, I want to read this. And that one sounded really good too, and really fucked up, but I can't find a copy of it anywhere. I don't know if there's an audiobook, because it's like a 1970s horror. It's written by Jessica Hamilton, but I believe that's a pseudonym. I can't remember Ken Greenhall. That one's supposed to be really, really messed up, but I can't find it anywhere, so we're not gonna read it for this video. This was a really long intro. I'm going to go ahead and I'm finishing up Shriver right now, which I'm not going to be recording for this, but stay tuned for my wrap up if you want to hear about that. Going very well so far. So as soon as I finish that, I'm going to start one of these books, and then I will keep in touch. It's later. I showered. We're back to the curls. I just got ready. I've been catching up on Gabby's winter ween videos. I'm so behind on watching booktube right now, so I feel like kind of an asshole. I've just been reading. Okay, so I realized I haven't updated you on this book, The Bad Seed, so we need to do that first. Looks like I'm about 65% of the way done with this, so yeah, definitely need an update. When I first started this book, it took me a minute to get used to it, because while I do think it is approachable for like a modern classic, the writing style is definitely different than I'm used to. The dialogue reads kind of like a 1950s sitcom. I want to say I Love Lucy, but it's more misogynistic. I'm trying to think of that one show, which I never watched it, but it's like Over the Moon. What is it with the dude? And he always like rags on his wife.
I treat you like a woman. I let you sew, I let you cook, I let you wash the windows, I let you clean up.
The husband's not in the picture here, but there are some neighbor men that are making comments about Christine's body and how she's so beautiful and why is your husband always gone and stuff like that. It's not really bothering me. You just kind of have to compartmentalize it and realize that this was written in 1954. It's kind of funny because just the way that the environment is set up is really interesting to me. There's all of these like 1950s housewives that are chatting with Christine. Christine's really our main focus, although it's about Rhoda. We're hearing it from Christine's perspective. They are just having these stimulating afternoons, getting drunk and discussing things like psychology, like word association, books about boys losing their virginity. It's all kind of creepy and weird, and it's like adding up to this environment that is piquing my interest. Poor Christine is just so naive. And it's in third person, but a lot of it's in her head, so you get like her internal dialogue as well in Rhoda's class. There was this competition in the class for penmanship, and Rhoda just worked so hard for it all year, and she knew this was her award. She was going to win it at this like picnic that they were having. But this other boy wins it instead, even though her penmanship was better. His was the most improved, and the award was for most improved penmanship. So Rhoda is pissed. Basically, we don't see what happens, but then we go back as Christine's kind of asking around, trying to figure out what happened that day because the boy ends up dead. She starts to question things about Rhoda. Rhoda's telling her one thing and then she hears another thing. And so she's like, wait, this doesn't quite add up. And she wants to have trust. She wants to have faith in her daughter and what she's telling her. But she's just like, wait, this isn't quite right. She's just so naive. She's so naive. Bless her heart. She starts remembering things about Rhoda and how she had a puppy once and the puppy jumped out of the window. And she starts questioning, well, did the puppy really jump out of the window? And then there was this old lady, and when they used to live in like Boston or something, Rhoda would hang out with her. She had this like crystal ball thing that Rhoda really liked. And she had told Rhoda that she would give it to her when she died. But she's like, oh, my family lives to be very old, so don't count on it any day soon. And then this lady mysteriously died. And so Christine's like putting all this together and like, oh my God, what's happening? Like, oh, like is my daughter more than I think she is. And so she goes to, I think it's her, it might be her brother, her friend, who is really into mysteries and true crime and stuff like that. She starts to learn. They did bring up Belle Guinness, which is a murderer that I do know about, and a few other ones that I don't know about. I haven't looked them up though. I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm having fun with it. I think it's really interesting, the psychology of it all, and I definitely believe this child is, I want to say a psychopath, but that's not the term anymore. It's antisocial personality. It's like a psychopath now in the new DS. Well, I guess it was in the last DSM as well, but the term psychopath isn't really a thing. It's kind of a trait of antisocial personality disorder, if we're going to get into it. I guess it doesn't really matter. I can just say psychopath. But yeah, I believe this child because it's not like she's out here speaking other languages, doing like possession stuff. No, she's just manipulating. And when she knows that her mom is onto something, she'll say, what would you give me for a basket of kisses, Mama? Oh, I have the best mother in the world. I tell everybody that I have the best mother in the world. And it's like she's trying to, you see that she's trying to manipulate. And when Christine starts to realize that's what it is, she's shook. She's shooketh. She doesn't know what to think, what to do. Oh, there's also this other side character named Leroy, who's like this man who lives in their neighborhood. And I think Leroy is kind of messed up in the head too. And because of that, he sees through Rhoda and he's constantly not like threatening her, but like, he's like, I see you. Like other people, he's like, I know you're smart and other people don't see through your bullshit, but I see you. And he's like calling her out. And so I love that. I am starting a new embroidery project. So this is what I'm doing. It's going to look like this. I have a few challenges with this because one, I'm doing it on the red material, which I've never done before. So I couldn't use my regular pen that is like really fine point tip. So I had to use this chalk pencil to outline it. It's not as fine detail as I typically like. And I don't know that I trust myself to do as good of a job when I don't have that to rely on. So this is going to be interesting. Also, this particular fabric is really thin, which is actually quite nice because my needle just slides through it so easily. This one's just going to be for me, just for funsies. I did just finish one that I made for my sister. I'll pop it up here so you can see it for her birthday. And I'm pretty proud of that one. I learned a new stitch on that for the lettering. Yeah, so that's what we're doing. I also started class today. I'm only taking one class this semester because I'm going to be going back to work soon. I know I keep saying that, but I really am. I don't want to overwhelm myself. I don't want to like have to step back from BookTube because this is like what makes me happy, is being able to talk about books and read books. So it's going to be interesting trying to divide my time. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, I'll check in with you guys when I finish this book.
You're going to have to prove you can create something runway worthy. We want this to be the most incredibly bold and vibrant.
Good morning. I finished Bad Seed. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm so conflicted. I really don't know what to think of it. So the ending, first, okay, I guess I should say it ended abruptly. An idea was introduced into the plot and then it was executed immediately and then it was over. And I was like, what? And there is a certain element to it that I liked, but generally speaking, I did not like the ending. And it actually left me feeling like sad, like really sad and kind of depressed. Anyway, I've come up with a system to rate these books on, some criteria, if you will. So we're gonna use that and go from there. So my 4 criteria are going to be the plot, generally speaking, the reveal, meaning at what point it's revealed that the child is or is not evil, For the record, I don't believe in evil. You know, from what we're doing, we're calling it evil. Manipulation is going to be another one because that's kind of what I'm looking for with this, like the child manipulation. And then the fourth criteria is going to be the creep factor. So like, generally speaking, after I finish the book, how much did this creep me out? So let's see. The plot for this one. I liked the beginning. I liked where the plot was taking us, but I didn't like the end. So I'm going to give this 3 out of 5. The reveal. This is tricky for this one because there was a reveal to some people, but not to all. And that kind of affects how it ends. I'm going to again say 3 out of 5. Manipulation, 5 out of 5. Absolutely 100% manipulative. And then creep factor, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. Yeah, so overall, out of 20 points, we have 15. 15 out of 20. Let's talk about The Perfect Child, because I started that last night and I am currently probably about 40% of the way through. This one, if you remember, is the one where it's the doctor and the nurse, and this abused child shows up into the hospital and they decide to take her in. So the way the story opens up is you have the perspective of the social worker who's explaining what happened to the police. She's telling the story from the end of the story, and then we pop back to the points of view of Hannah and Christopher, and they're telling the story as they experience it. I've only just gotten to the part where Janie, the child, seems even slightly sinister. At the beginning of the book, first 35%, I'd say, you really just feel for her because she's been through so much, and she shows up at this hospital and she's got her stomach's distended. She is so starved. She's got broken bones that had healed wrong. She's been very much abused. So we're setting it up in a way where you very much have sympathy for the child, which is interesting. Christopher is her doctor. He's the one that like resets her arm, takes her into surgery. I like the writing so far. I like the audiobook's really good, although strangely, this is the first audiobook. I've got this one on Scribd, and this is the first audiobook I've ever listened to where it like stops and says,
"End of disc 1, please insert disc 2. Beginning of disc 2.
And then it starts again. I'm like, they couldn't have edited that out? What? Like, so weird. It's not a disc. But I get it. I get it. Yeah, this couple just seems like they just really, really want a child. And you feel for them. You feel for everybody in the situation. You feel like they're just the most deserving parents. And they just seem really healthy. Their communication is on point. They are affectionate towards one another. They appreciate one another. Like, this is a healthy relationship. I've just gotten to the point where Janie is starting to act up against Hannah. She's starting to ignore her. They had taken time off to care for her, and Christopher is now going back to work, and she's mad about this because she's with Hannah all day. And she's starting to ignore her. She's acting up in public. She's doing things to make Hannah look bad. I'm really enjoying the perspective of Piper, the social worker, because she is, the way she's telling the story, it's like she knows something terrible happened. We know something terrible happened from the beginning. Like, I don't know what it is, but we know something terrible happened. And she's trying to relay her version of the story to the police in a way that shines the best light on Christopher and Hannah. As she's like very carefully choosing her words, you're wondering what went wrong. So we have this to look forward to as we're reading, which I feel like drives the plot forward. So I appreciate that. I'm happy with it. I'm enjoying it. So we'll see what happens. I don't know what I've got going on today. Not a whole lot. I do need to film my 2022 goals today. That will already be up by now. Still working on my embroidery. I will check in with you guys in a little bit. Oh, lordy, lordy. I'm a masochist. That book was terrifying. I loved it. I loved it. But it was awful. I mean, I loved it. I mean, it was not awful, but it was awful. Oh my God. The feelings. Wow. It was really tough and terrifying, absolutely terrifying. Ooh, okay. So much happened. Oh my God. So, how do I talk about this without spoiling it? Oh, Lucinda. Cindy. Wow. Oh my God, she has so many books. Oh my God. This is amazing. I have so many more books to read from her. Oh, she has another one coming out in 2022. Okay, so something happens in this family that changes everything for them. Outside of having Jeannie be a part of their family. And it ups the stakes. The stakes are so high. Oh my God. Everything just goes wrong. Everything goes wrong. This is a nightmare scenario. Absolute nightmare scenario. You understand how it gets where it went. You understand how it got that effed up. I'm like scared of children now. Why did I do this to myself? What is wrong with me? I don't know how to say anything without spoiling this. Let's go over our criteria. Okay, the plot. Excellent. It did feel like a longer book. How long was this book? 364-page book. So it's a little bit of a longer book than I typically read, but I never felt like I wanted to put it down. I was absolutely entranced in this every step of the way. I was absolutely invested in the characters. There were so many twists that I did not see coming. At least 3 twists. Oh my gosh. So plot gets 5. 5 out of 5 for plot. The reveal, amazing. Hannah sees something in her, but no one else does for a long time. But eventually, the way it's like slowly, one thing after another until it can no longer be denied. 5 out of 5. Manipulation. Okay, let's not get overexcited. Let's be focused and honest. Okay, manipulation. Was she manipulative? Yes. But I don't think it was as much the manipulation. Like in The Bad Seed, there was more outright manipulation. Well, she's still manipulating feelings because what she would do is she just liked to hurt people. Oh my God, one of the creepiest lines. Oh, there is animal cruelty in this, by the way. FYI, if you're sensitive to that. She hurts an animal, let's just say that. Christopher asks, why did you do that? And she says, I like to hurt people, Daddy, don't you? Oh my God, so creepy. But that's not manipulation. It's just like really sinister. But she does manipulate. This is tricky. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 for manipulation. And the creep factor, 100%, 5 out of 5 creeps. 100%, 5 out of 5 creeps. Absolutely creepy, so creepy. I am disturbed. Like I feel like my skin is not my skin right now. Like I don't feel, and I don't care. I don't feel right. I feel a little off kilter. This is what I asked for. This is what I asked for. It's like exactly what I asked for. 19 out of 20 points. I don't know if we're gonna be able to beat that. This could be it. This could be the one. Oh man, I feel like I need a nap.
Yes, your audio is being recorded.
Okay, we need to talk about Kevin because I finished it. It destroyed me. So there's that. Where to even start? By the way, this is like several days later. I had my birthday, I had all kinds of things. And also, I don't know if reading these books contributed to my mental space. It very well may have, and also like just like my birthday, and I've been in a like kind of a rough place for the last few days, but I am feeling better, so that's good. I had a not good headspace few days, so I had to check out for a little bit, but I'm back. And we're going to talk about it. I will say though, if you're not in a good space, don't read this book in particular because, my God, I would say it's even more disturbing in some senses than books like The Trope or Tender as the Flesh, but in a totally different way. But it's not like body horror or anything like that. In fact, it stays away from a lot of the grisly details, but it's so disturbing in a realistic way, that in a way that this could actually happen, in a way that is subtle and sinister and completely different from The Perfect Child. The Perfect Child was absolutely a thriller. This one creeps under your skin and haunts you. It was intense. I read a review that said, reading this book is like self-torture under hypnotism, which is so accurate because once I got into it, like I couldn't put it down, but I also was like sinking into a well of despair. But I could not put it down. Like, I had to know, I had to figure out what was happening. On that note, the way, like, I think I said before that I had read another review that the writing was, and the prose was overly complicated or intricate or something. That's not true at all. I think that person maybe just meant that it was in the sense that it's an epistolary form, that it's in the form of letters by Ava, who's the mom, and the whole story is through her perspective. So maybe they didn't like that, but the actual prose, the actual writing is just actually very straightforward and clinical. Very clinical. And I loved that part of it because that's how my brain thinks, especially with things about this kind of nature, metaphysical, how our brain functions and works, and psychology and all of that kind of stuff. Like, that's how I think of these things. So I really related to that. In fact, I related to Ava's character like way too much. I did not feel like this was left open-ended like it said it was, but that could just be because of my perspective reading it. When it starts out, you're following these letters. So I should say the letters are written as in like after the event, which is the school shooting, and before the event leading up to it. When you're in the before time, you start out at the beginning of this relationship with Ava and Franklin. They're both world travelers. They own their own business. They're super adventurous. They have everything they could ever want. They're so in love. And you really feel that. They are feeling like,
have I already felt everything that I'm ever going to feel?
And that's kind of what gets them on to this idea of maybe having a kid, because Ava never wanted kids. Like I said, in a very clinical way, they're making these decisions. They see this as an opportunity to kind of relive life experiences through their child's eyes, which I think a lot of parents do. So they decide to have a kid, and from the very get-go, the very beginning, Ava's not connecting with this child, the child's not connecting with her. This is what I wanted from the push, but didn't get from the push. Denver? No. I don't want to do this right now. Thank you, though. Thank you. From the first day, he won't latch on to her breast. He won't breastfeed. You know, that's just something that's small, but it's just like, that's the very inception. That is the inception of this tiny kernel, this tiny little nugget of doubt in her mind. And then as he gets a little bit older, as a toddler, he refuses to potty train, and she's like, is he having issues? Do I need to support him with this? Or is he actually doing it to maintain control, to make his mother miserable? Sometimes it's normal, like all kids have weird quirks and things that they go through, and then other times you're like, this is very purposeful and sinister and creepy. So it's like you go back and forth for a lot of the way through the book, and then as a teenager, he does some really fucked up shit with his mom. His dad never sees any of this. He loves his dad. In one scene, he is masturbating in the bathroom with a stick of butter. He purposefully leaves the door open so his mom will walk in on him. He wants to make her uncomfortable, and she finally confronts him about it, and he just like looks at her and just like makes eye contact. And it's not like an incest thing. It's like he wants to make her uncomfortable. That is so fucked up. It's so fucked up. Like shit like that throughout this whole book. It's very, very intense. There are some things in here that are my Michigan's coming out, that are problematic. There is some fat shaming in here. There is the use of the R word and the F word. And I'm not talking about fuck. I got the sense that it was done in order to incite your feelings about a certain character that is saying them, in order to sway your opinion, and not in a way that it is the author's normal vernacular. I didn't feel like the author speaks like this, but like the characters do, if that makes sense. So it didn't offend me in that way. But I know that's very triggering to some people, so I just want to let you know. Also, there's a twist here. I don't know why I wasn't expecting a twist. Like, I was just like, this is gonna be dark, this is gonna be heavy, and that's it. But there was a twist that really got me. Props for that. In the end, I don't know how I feel. I don't know. Part of me wants to give this 5 stars. Part of me wants to give it like 4 stars, but then I don't want to punish it because it made me feel like shit, you know, because it was really well done. I feel like it was really, really well done. So we need to go over the criteria for this. Maybe that'll help me figure out some of my feelings. So for the plot, I want to give this 5 out of 5 plots. I think the way it was constructed with the letters was amazing, how it was kind of before and after for the entire book, and then once you get to the end, then you see what actually happened at the very, very end. How it went down, not necessarily why it went down, but some of the decisions that Kevin made along the way, and he explains himself a little bit. I liked the plot. I thought it was great, if not a little bit slow moving at first. Manipulation, I gotta give it 5 out of 5 too. So manipulative, just very disturbing. The reveal, okay, so this one's a little bit different because there's not really a reveal, although I don't think it's open-ended. I have my opinion, but it's not specifically stated one way or the other. This criteria doesn't really fit because it's not one of those books where it's like this aha moment. It can be assumed that there is. That's the thing, like it can be assumed that there is that moment and that some people feel that, but it's not on the page. I'm gonna give it a 3 for the reveal. And if my criteria had been different, this may have gone a completely different way, but that is what I set out to do, so it's a 3 out of 5. The creep factor overall has to be a 5 out of 5 as well, because I don't know that I've been this disturbed by a book. This reached down to the depths
of the depths.
I can't explain how this affected me because it's not overly gory, it's not overly graphic, it's not, you know, there's a couple scenes in there that you know what's happening and it's obviously terrible, but it's not described in a way where some other books are described that are just blood-curdling, ass-clenching type of way, but it's a quiet monster that eats away little by little. It's like when you put a crab or a lobster in the water, or what do they say? You put a frog, is it a frog? Whatever animal you put in boiling water and it jumps out. But if you put it in the water and you slowly heat it up, then it dies. That is this book. So that is, let me see, 15, 16, 17, 18 out of 20. So far we've got The Perfect Child is in the lead as far as my criteria is concerned. Anyway, I think today I'm gonna read We Used to Live in a Castle, or whatever the Shirley Jackson one is. I actually have started it, but I'm only like 40 pages into it. I think it's relatively short, so it shouldn't take too long. So I'm just gonna go ahead and read that one too. But so far not much has happened. We're following the main character, I forget her name. It's like Mary Beth or Mary something. The family has all been poisoned and died except for her and her sister and her uncle, who is now really impaired. And we're not getting too much about them, except I think the sister doesn't really leave the house, and when she leaves the house, our main character, to do just simple things like get groceries and stuff like that, the entire town hates her. They are really mean to her. She has to do it every week, get books and food. Like those are her priorities, books and food. Totally relatable. She plays a game in her head as she's like walking down the sidewalk. Okay, this step is done, 2 points for that. And then, oh, there's somebody coming up on the sidewalk. I have to cross the street, -2 points. Go over here. I have to, like, she has to avoid everybody. And then there's this really annoying woman who comes over to visit her sister from time to time, and that's really all I know so far. So we're gonna read this novella and see, maybe it'll be amazing, maybe it'll be the top one. I don't know yet. We're gonna find out together. This dog's fucking crazy. I swear to God, I love him, but he is insane. Well, that just took me almost 3 hours to read, to physically read like 150 pages. And this is why I like audiobooks, because I've just wasted 3 hours of my time and I hate that. I hate it so much. May not have felt like I wasted it if I enjoyed that book, but I did not. That barely even fits the category for this video, which I wouldn't have known if I had already read it, of course. This could be it for me and Shirley Jackson. This could be it. Like, I have not enjoyed, I've read 2 now and I've not enjoyed either one. A whole lot of nothing happened for a long time, and then everything happened for a very short period of time, and then a whole lot of nothing happened, and then it just ended. I don't understand. What was I supposed to get out of that? I don't understand. Don't understand. Makes no sense. These two sisters and their uncle are living together, and it's very character driven, I guess if you could say. You're just kind of learning their dynamics between each other, and Uncle Julian's kind of losing it. Always continually talks about that night when everyone died. He tries to freak other people out by talking about it. Just the way it's written, their dialogue is strange. They really love each other, but they're very strange. Mary Catherine is the young girl's name. She's written very young. I think it said at the very beginning she's supposed to be 18, but she very much has like the mentality of a much younger girl. Her best friend is her cat. And then one day their distant cousin comes to stay with them, and that's like the beginning of the end for them and the way they have their life set up. Mary Cat just like knows that some change is coming. She's not happy about it. So she, not in like a supernatural way, but like as children do, she has little like superstitions that she does where she says like, okay, if I think of 3 words and I never say them again, nothing bad will happen. Or if I bury things in the lawn, it'll protect our house. Very much like childlike stuff. There was one twist in there where you find out how the family dies towards the middle of the book, but it wasn't incredibly unexpected, and you know, it wasn't anything crazy. Overall, okay, let's see, the plot was awful. Nothing happened, and it was annoying and really tedious to get through. I'm giving the plot, I don't know if I can even give it 2. I'm giving it a 1 for plot. Denver, I swear to God. Manipulation? Is it manipulation? There is none, really. I'll give it a 2. I'll give manipulation a 2. And then we have the reveal, which there is none either. 1. And then we have creep factor. Wasn't creepy at all. 1. Part of me wants to just delete all of this footage for this video, but I've already put the time into it, so we're just gonna leave it. So that was, what, 2 2s and 2 1s, was it? What did I just say? I think 6 out of 20. If that was wrong, I will put it up here. Did not enjoy that. Wow, okay. So, oh, and in case you're wondering, I haven't finished this yet, but I'm almost done. Just a few little things here and there that I need to touch up, and then I can finish it off and take this back. But I think it turned out pretty good. I'm fairly happy with it. Chalk pencil, like, it has been fading, so it's been harder to look at. And of course, it's got dog hair all over it. Story of my life. Just a few details to add in there, and then I'll be done. So I'm pretty happy with this. And so let's sum up everything that we read, shall we? These 4 books could not have been more different. So I think I got a nice varied range in here. As far as my star ratings, The Bad Seed, I think I'm gonna give it around a 3.5. Like, I liked it, but it's nothing to write home about. But The Bad Seed walked so that the perfect child could run, so that We Need to Talk About Kevin could run. You know what I'm saying? Like, they put down the pavement for those other books to drive down. Respect to The Bad Seed, and considering it was written in 1954, I feel like it was way ahead of its time, and there's actually a lot of things in there that I felt like were still relevant. Definitely an interesting read, and I would recommend it. The Perfect Child, I'm giving it 5 stars. I loved it. I love Lucinda Berry now. Cannot wait to read the rest of her backlog. Super stoked to get into those. We Need to Talk About Kevin. I think I'm gonna settle at 4.5 for that one because it's not an all-time favorite, but mad props to that one. I'm a little bit mad at it for putting me in such a shitty mental place, but I definitely recommend it if you're up for it. I would absolutely recommend We Need to Talk About Kevin. I don't want to call it literary, but it almost is. Like, it means more than the words on its pages, you know? So it's definitely important. I'm glad it's out there. I'm glad it's part of this video and this creepy child canon. And then We've Always Lived in the Castle. 2 stars, did not like it. I don't understand you, Shirley Jackson. I don't get you. We're not on the same wavelength. We're just not. I may try, I think The Lottery is another short story of hers that's supposed to be really good. So I may try that at some point in the future. But if that doesn't go well, done. Like, absolutely no holds bar. No bars hold. You know what I mean. And overall, our standout winner is The Perfect Child. Is this the perfect creepy child book? It very well may be. It may be. I can't deny that. Until I've read many, many more, which I'm not in the space to do right now, but I may, you know, resurrect this video again someday because there are a bunch of them out there. Sour Candy is another one that I want to read by Keelan Patrick Burke. Oh, that Elizabeth one that I mentioned earlier, want to read. So there's definitely more out there, but for the sake of this video, absolutely, The Perfect Child is the perfect evil child book. It was in the title. We should have known from the start. Game over. I think that's it for me today. I know this video is long. If you're still watching, you're a saint. You're an absolute saint. If you just happened upon this video and you enjoyed it, then subscribe. That'd be awesome. I appreciate it a lot if you do. Again, I'll put all my social medias down there, and I will catch you guys next time. Don't forget that life is short, so read Riley. Goodbye.